I'll never be a smackhead or a crackhead. I'll never do a burglary. I'll never steal anything to pay for my habit. And I was doing all those things by the end of it. I found that by using drugs, that was the only enjoyment what I got out of life, really. Because I did enjoy my drugs, you know. I wasn't miserable in me using it. I was miserable when I wasn't using.
Yeah.
It really, really is. But I'm here now, 19 months on, and absolutely loving life, yeah.
Tell me about your background. Where are you from? What was life like for you growing up?
Right, my name's Jacob. I'm 31 years old. I was born in Chesterfield in 1993. And but to be honest with you, my upbringing, compared to some other people who are now in recovery, it weren't a bad upbringing. I'd got both parents who worked full time, you know, didn't really want for anything, you know, didn't have loads of money, but we were enough to get by, you know what I mean? If we wouldn't go out, me and my sister, and got about to age 13, 14, my parents went through a separation, got divorced, but it still didn't stop them. Me and my sister seeing our parents regular. Used to stop at my mum's in week, stop at my dad's at weekend, you know, vice versa sometimes, you know. So parents always and family had a heavy involvement, you know, in my life.
Did you get into any trouble growing up?
Not really, to be honest with you. It was just only trouble I had were I kept getting shit school reports. You know, when it come to like parents' evenings and stuff, and I just were disruptive in class. Needs to focus more, concentrate more, and I didn't really know what was sort of going wrong. I just struggled in school, and fast forward a bit into my early 20s. I got diagnosed with adult ADHD, and that was when the problem was just starting, really, my drug addiction, which pretty much started from age 18, 19.
That was my next question. When did drugs start creeping into your life?
I tried a spliff when I was 15, and I chucked to Whitey and passed out, and it really made me anti-drugs. But then when I was like age of 16, I scraped enough GCSEs to get into sixth form, because I wanted to be a music teacher. I were getting served up in places round Chesterfield, you know, bars and nightclubs, certain ones, and I used to go out quite frequently on piss, and you know, it'd be 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, but it was just part of growing up, you know. I wouldn't drink in the day, you know, but when I did drink, it'd be to an excess. But everyone else who were with me would be doing the same. It's growing up, and I suppose it's a buzz getting served up underage. But then I had a few jobs, and obviously at this point, no ADHD diagnosis. I kept losing these jobs, you know. You start job hopping, and then I got this job in Blackpool, Blackpool Tower, and I got laid off at the end of season, because of obviously attendance figures dropped, and I come back to Chesterfield, and with my last pay packet I got from Blackpool Tower, I decided while I was pissed up to have one of my mates. He had some ecstasy some pills on him, you know, and I had one of them, and before you know it, the drugs gave me the feeling that drink never could, you know, and without the hangover as well. So that weekend of having it, that one night, it then happened the weekend after, then the weekend after that, and before you know it, it keeps getting creeping in a bit more and more and building up till other drugs come into the equation. Yeah.
So so you just stated the start of your addiction.
Mm-hmm.
What was your drug of choice in your addiction? What would you say is your go-to drug?
My go-to drug throughout, if we like calculating through the whole of my addiction, you know, from age of 18 to 30, right? It were amphetamine, definitely.
Yeah.
Because obviously I was heavily abusing drugs. I weren't attending appointments, and I couldn't get the ADHD medication I needed. It just seemed that the amphetamine gave me, you know, what I needed to function in life. But the problem is, because I'm an addict as well, I always took it to an excess, and I'd end up staying awake for days on end and days on end, and it just got really, really out of control from an early stage. Yeah, with the amphetamine, then it went to harder stuff in the end.
Yeah, that was my next question. You said you're an addict. It doesn't stop at amphetamines, does it?
No, does it, heck? No. I can remember when I were using what I thought just were party drugs, amphetamines, MCAT, MDMA on occasion, pills from the start. Yeah, but I'll never be a smackhead or a crackhead. I'll never do a burglary. I'll never steal anything to pay for my habit. And I was doing all those things by the end of it, and I was on the crack and heroin.
Yeah.
It takes you to them places, and it'd be, I'd have a primary poison. The primary poison was stimulant, right? So obviously amphetamine's the best value for money, but in the end it were crack and heroin. Yeah. So, I've got a very addictive sort of personality, what I used to fight, an addictive personality. And it wouldn't just be drugs, substances I get addicted to. I were a bad gambling addict as well, it's took me to some really low points as well in my life. That were a reason my father had to withdraw our relationship. So we didn't speak for years because weren't down to me drug taking. That were down to gambling and blagging money off him.
So what did your day look like in the height of your addiction? What would be a day in your life?
At the height of my addiction, a day in my life, it'd be when I got to where I were obviously on heroin, and then I ended up on a prescription daily for methadone. Obviously, then I've got the physical dependency tied in with the psychological dependency to drugs. So I was, the height of my addiction is that if I don't use, I'll be poorly, and obviously that when money came in, obviously benefit money, that'd all be usually spent up before it actually entered the bank account. And then I'd be having to sort of rob Peter to pay Paul, dodge dealers and stuff like that, and then if they did get the money, then I'd be laying a load more. I'd always end up in a cycle of debt entrapment with dealers, and they'd always, towards the end, with this one guy in Sheffield, he debted me up to the point where he knew this were more than I was my income, but he did it so he could get me doing favours like bagging up for him and with cling film wraps and stuff, and carrying drugs around village and things for him in quantity. I can remember this one time we're walking across park in Sheffield, and I were carrying a microwave what they were using to wash up with, and I had an ounce of coke in my pocket, and it was just they were obviously at a distance, but if I'd have got caught with that, I'd have been in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So what did rock bottom look like in your addiction? What was a low point that you think that stood out to you?
Thing is, we're rock bottom, right? That usually comes with improvement. There's been a lot of events in my active addiction that you could class as rock bottoms, but with no desire for change. That whether that be obviously all my family cutting me off, having no contact with them, missing close relatives' funerals, ending up in the police station. When they ask you if you've got anyone you want to ring to let them know, there is no one I can say, because no one would care. They could be rock bottoms, or that like just no money, nowhere to live, no family, no friends, getting beat up, hospitalised. That's happened a few times. You know what I mean? It's shop theft. I did one burglary, and I know a lot of people in addiction have done more, but that still put me in a lot of shame. You know what I mean, for what I did. There's loads of little things what you could say rock bottoms, but I were always on that lower tier of life because I had no desire to change because I was scared. Really, I was scared.
I think what you say as well is most people's rock bottoms, you seem to have hit them all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All them things, not having anyone to reach out to.
Yeah.
Your crime, your You know what I mean? Being hospitalised, you've hit all of them, haven't you?
Yeah, and they've all, some have been lower than others. You know what I mean? So it's never been a solid rock bottom really. I mean, it's just been like on the bottom and just keep skidding off it. You know what? It never sorting myself out because I wasn't really sold on a solution. You know, for it. The solution in fact was to keep using drugs because I found that by using drugs that was the only enjoyment what I got out of life really, because I did enjoy my drugs. You know, I wasn't miserable in me using it. I was miserable when I wasn't using.
Yeah.
You know.
Moving on from your drug addiction, going into recovery.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide that you wanted to go into recovery?
I decided I was in a homeless hostel in Sheffield, and you know something, for some reason, and I just can't put my finger on why or how, because I ain't got a clue how I came about it. There were no, I was bang at it using right to coming into treatment for my drug issues. You know, so it must have been what I look at as divine intervention that desire came and I got it sorted. You know, and to coming into recovery. You know, it was strange how it happened, because like I say, just before I've had it worse. I've been street homeless. You know, living in a tent. You know, there were worse things that happened before, well before that. I decided to come into recovery. For one, I had a roof over my head. I had obviously benefit income coming in. I had dealers who would lay me stuff on. You know. So it's strange how it happened. Really, it really is. But I'm here now, 19 months on, and absolutely loving life. Yeah.
If you had a message, no, I'm sorry, I'll start with this one. Do you have any experience with relapse, or what are your thoughts on it?
Right, relapse. To be honest with you, right, I haven't relapsed, because relapse implies there's been recovery, you know, improvement, you know, so there hasn't been a relapse. My clean date, right, was when I come off my methadone, you know, and the same day I come off my meth, as many know in here, right, I thought it'd be a mad idea to have just a little sip of beer. I know a fucking sip's mad, isn't it? I should have got obliterated, really. I'm an addict, but I had a sip of beer, a moment of madness, but there were no sort of recovery there, you know, so I won't class that as a relapse. So I've not, luckily, touched wood, I ain't had one, you know, and I'm pretty confident that I won't, as long as I practice the principles of the 12-step program that I've learned in recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still learning today. What were the other thing about relapse?
What are your thoughts on it? Do you believe it just happens, or?
I think relapse happens when there's a lack of recovery. So obviously you put the tools down, obviously, because the tools are the solution. The 12-step program, what I've learned, they're the solution to recovery. So if you choose to put a program down, that means you will lose the ability to choose whether you'll drink or use drugs. You know, the obsession will return, and you'll end up picking up again. That's what I've seen time and time again in recovery, that people put the basics down and then they end up using.
If you had a message to someone who was in your position, who was in addiction and is still there now, what would your message be?
There is a solution. You know, there is a solution, and I'm living and breathing proof of that. You know, because if I couldn't be happy in recovery, I'd be back out there now smoking crack or heroin or both probably.
Yeah.
And the rest. And I'll tell you now, I would be. You know, I'm a fully grown adult. I could do that if I wanted to. But the fact, the thing recovery's give me is that the desire not to want it. You know, it's not I can't. It's I don't want to, which is marvelous, really. Yeah.
So that there's a way out.
There is a way out. Yeah, there is. But you've got to wanna stop. You know, and that's the hardest thing to do. You know, I shared in a meeting the other week. You get a desire to stop using. That is the hardest part of recovery, because that you don't get any help off anyone else to get this desire to stop. It must come from within.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't imagine that the desire to stop lasting long. So strike while the desire's hot. Come into recovery and sort your life out, because it's worth it.
I know a lot of people seem to think as well that because you're an addict, you hate drugs. That ain't the case, is it?
No, I'm an addict 'cause I fucking love drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love drugs, but the difference today...
You hate the way you feel on drugs, or...
No, I used to love the way that drugs made me feel. It were the consequences, you know.
Yeah.
It were the consequences of using that were the issue. But now that was when what we call, when I was in the insanity, when the addiction, I had the inability to see the true from false. I couldn't see the truth in the harm I was causing myself and all my loved ones and others around me. You know. But now I've been restored to sanity through the program. I can see the truth from the false. I know if I have that first crack pipe, you know, I will not stop, and it will cause chaos. You know, that's what I can see the truth of that today, and it makes it, the further on I've got in recovery, the less appealing that life looks, because the things I'm getting back in my life in recovery are worth anything that it could have given me out in the madness. You know, it's. Some great things have happened over the past 18 months, and, you know, things that I didn't think possible, you know, have started happening. You know, obviously my mum's always been there, you know, she's always been there, you know, and stuff I've put her through, you know, God knows how many sleepless nights she's had, and, you know, just to see her be proud of me now, and you know, and just think how peaceful she must be, not worrying about what shit I'm causing. You know, it gives me a good feeling. And then I got some acceptance as lads knowing here that I was probably never ever going to speak to my dad again, and, you know, I'd burnt all my bridges with him. You know, I'd done some bad stuff, and he suffers with a lot of complicated health problems and stuff, my dad, and he just couldn't sit back and watch me destroy my life. But the miracles of recovery kept coming, and about 16 months on, we got in contact with each other, and then we saw each other for the first time in about 5-6 years at Christmas. And, you know, I wouldn't trade this. This is stuff I would never trade for a crack pipe or a line of gear on foil. You know, because it's just, life's precious. You only get one life, don't you? Make the most of it. Yeah. You know, don't piss it up the wall or piss it up the pipe or down foil. Yeah. You know, it's worth living life, not existing. I've found out in recovery.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you.